Hello everybody. Today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to be filming from my desk. Or should I say workbench? Workbench? Probably workbench, I'd say. Um, I've been wanting to get out. I guess my last video was like 11 days ago. I've been wanting to get one done since then. I've been trying to get back in the routine of maybe once a week and then one or two shorts a week. If you go on my channel, scroll through the shorts, I got a lot of model train stuff and real train stuff and historical stuff, then and now type things on the perk on my shorts. I've been doing at least one or two of them a week, but I've been trying to get back to doing my full-length videos at least once a week again, like I was. Not I wasn't, but I'm trying to get back to it. But anyway, I'm not one of them fancy professional YouTube guys, so I have a day job, and by the time I get done work lately, I haven't had enough daylight to get where I want to go. Plus, the last week and a half, it's been like between 9 degrees and 22 degrees and covered in snow. And ever since last weekend, we're really covered in snow. So I found a hard time getting anywhere I want to get to record. So today, I've done this before from my desk, but today I'm going to record. I'm going to do a little something here from the comfort of my desk. It's about the Y in Palm. Now, I did a post on this channel about the Y. If you scroll through where it says posts, you'll see a little thing I did about it. And on my one video I did down there, I think it was down at the can opener bridge down in Palm, I talked about this a little bit. But there's been renewed interest in it again. And I have renewed interest in it again myself. And it's one of those things I like to figure out. I really would. So, at one time, I would say probably later 1800s. I mean, the line went through Palm, was done in Palm in 1874. So I would say probably sometime after that. I think this map, hold on, I got a couple maps here. Hold on a minute. I think this map here is from 1893, if I recall. I think it's 1893. So, from the late 1800s, apparently there was a Y in Palm. If you look, that's the station, that's the siding right there. We have pictures of Palm Station where you see a siding next to the station. So, but we can't see where it goes. The freight station would have been up here near the P. The regular station's in here at Palm. And it looks like the Y probably would have widened up near Corning Road. If I was a little smarter, I'd probably understand this map, how this map's drawn out, what all this stuff means. But I do know that this means railroad, and this means road, and I know that stuff. But like the coordinates and the geographical lines and all that, I don't know. So so it looks like that's the station. Part of the Y started at the station. The other part of the Y was up, I would say probably near Corning. Might have been at Corning Station or right near Corning Road. And it came down, and right here it says Turnpike. Well, that's actually Route 29 in Palm. So it looks like it would have come across the Route 29 in Palm. Now, the interesting thing about this is it's probably, we have most of the track charts. I think they're from like turn of the century. I think they're from like 1913, 1912, I forget. I haven't looked at them in a while. We have a lot of them actually printed out. We have some on flash drives and hard drives, so we have to kind of get to it, you know, like, I haven't checked in on them. I should have probably checked the track charts to see if this would have showed up on the track chart before I did this video. But, you know, if I only planned better for things, I'd be 100% better off than I am. So yeah, so there was a Y. Anyone who doesn't know what a Y is, who's not really a railroader, it's another way without using a turntable to turn an engine around. Like, just say you're coming into Palm and you want to try, and you don't want to shove the train back, you want to put the engine in the front. You would come up here, you'd let the train sit. Or just say you pull it into Palm and the engine's on the front, and you want to go back towards like Pennsburg, Red Hill, whatever. You pull the train into here. You unhook the locomotive. You go hit the switch. You go up. You go down here. And then you back the locomotive up so you can go back that way. That's what a Y is mostly used for. And like I said, this map here, what did I say, 1889, I think it was, something like that. I have a better copy of this somewhere, but this one doesn't have the date on it. So, like I said, I actually, I should call this part 1, because I am actually going to go out in the field on site and do some research for this. Some of it is railroad property, which of course I don't trespass on railroad property. Being a railroader and all that stuff, you kind of it's not a good look. But the property around it, I can get access to. I know some of the people up that way. And this part here there's actually a road right in here that goes right in here. I forget what road it's called. Right, it comes off 29, and there's a church, Schwenkfelder, the church, Schwenkfelder Church on 29 and Palm. From what I think is the Y went down and went through the property of what is now Schwenkfelder Church, or went next to the church. I've been in the church parking lot, and I've been up this side road that comes up this way. This would go up here, then you make a right, and the can opener would be in here somewhere. And there's no trace at all. I've looked at Google Maps. I've looked at all kinds of things. I've looked at older aerial photographs. There's like no trace of it. I don't know when it was taken out, but this photo here is from 1939, and as you can tell, this is the main line right here. Palm Station is right here. That's Palm Station. So there's the station in Palm. That's Station Road. That's Hannah's Palm Hotel, whatever you want to call it. So this photo here, it looks like the Y would have come here. It would have went down this way, and then up towards Corning. So like I said, by this photo here from 1939 aerial shot, it would have been noticed. You would have seen it. You would have seen it coming off the Y from right in here at Palm Station. This is where the siding came off. It would have been in this way. It would have kind of went up and arched down for part of it. You can't see where the upper leg would have been. But there is no trace at all. And I mean, and there's the cemetery. There's the cemetery for the church. You could just barely see the church right there. And there's the cemetery. So it's I don't know. One of those things I just want to figure out, and I want to get back into it, and I'm going to go up. I'm going to go to the church area. I'm going to the places that I can go legally, because again, my motto is, I don't trespass. It's a bad look when you get caught. I'm going to go to the church. I guess that's public property, and the road up here. I forget the name of the road that goes up the side. And then I'm going to get some permission in the area, up in this area. A little side note: the Palm Freight Station. To those of you who don't know, the Palm Freight Station is actually still there. Station's long gone, but the freight station's still there. So, I guess, oh man, if people could just stop messaging me. Anyway, so I'm interested. I have very little information on the Y, and it's come up in discussion, and we can't find any other photos or anything like that. So basically what I want to do is I want to get the topic going again. Basically is what I'm saying, is what I want to do with this. That's why I'm doing this video. I wanted to get a video out, so I figured I would start it off here since it's been hard to get out in this weather. And I don't know. Like I said, I'm just going to start it now. And this is part 1. There'll be other parts once I'm out there researching. I don't know how many parts there'll be, but it's like one of those mysteries, as they call it. I want to figure out where this Y was. And it'd be great to even find maybe some remnants of it, or find out where the switch would have been. So that would be really cool. So yeah, there was a Y in Palm, which is one of those things you learn later on. Like I learned years down the road that there was a turntable in a roundhouse in Pennsburg. It took me years to figure that out. I just found that out about 8 years ago, 7 years ago. I didn't even notice it. So, but the Y is a thing of interest. Now, another thing of interest is, oops, that's a That is interesting. That's a Reading. That's a Reading Atlantic. I love Reading Atlantics. If you're an American Flyer, I painted the roof in the tender red. That wasn't factory. Side note here: if you're into American Flyer, you can find all the. They made a lot of Reading Atlantics. One of my favorite American Flyer locomotives. I just restored this one, full restoration. Anyway, I went too far. There we go. So another thing of interest is at one time on this 1873 map. Now, 1873, the line was not fully completed yet. The line was just made it into Pennsburg. It was just going into Pennsburg around 1873. This is from May of 73. It was already in Green Lane. Sorry. It already came through Green Lane, late 72, 73, and was working its way into Pennsburg. Now, if you look, it shows the Perk branch. Now, part of the line here that is solid is line that is completed. The dotted lines means it was either being worked on or in planning stages. Okay, so you can see here. There's Hosensack, and then up here it goes. I can't read that. Oh, right there it says property of Perkiomen Railroad. Yeah, Perkiomen Railroad. Okay. So this dotted section here was either in planning or it was under construction. As we all know, it went through Hosensack and then all the way up in Zionsville and Veracruz and Dillinger and then Emmaus and Allentown. So we know that finished. But the interesting thing is, if you notice, the next door neighbor over here is the Colebrookdale Railroad. I'm sure many of you have heard of the Colebrookdale for certain reasons. Well, if you notice, this dotted line from Colebrookdale goes up to Hosensack. So to those of you who don't know, the Colebrookdale Railroad and the Perkiomen Railroad were actually going to combine at one time. They were going to connect and intersect at Hosensack. So then, part of me was thinking, well, was that supposed to attach to the Y? Well, the Y is not shown here, and I don't think the end of the Y would have been all the way at Hosensack. That would have been a seriously long Y if it started in Palm Station and went all the way to Hosensack. So I think this was a different entity, different animal in itself. So I think this was different. But as of 1873, here is proof. It's funny how it says, and it's branch lines for Philadelphia and Reading, which, again, I always got to say this to those who don't know. Philadelphia and Reading later became the Reading Railroad. And, so it's the same place, same railroad. Things changed, rearranged it, reorganized it, and it became the Reading. But anyway, this says, and its branches. Technically, until 1945, although the Philadelphia and Reading, later the Reading, had controlling interest over the Perkiomen Railroad and the Colebrookdale and other ones, they were their own railroads. They were their own separate lines. They were basically controlled by Philadelphia and Reading, but it was still considered its own railroad until 1945. I think Colebrookdale became part of the Reading officially in 1945, became the Colebrookdale branch. Just like in 1945, the Perkiomen Railroad became the Perkiomen branch of the Reading. So anyway, so here's something which is very interesting too. Now, Mount Pleasant. I think Mount Pleasant is Bartow or Bechtelsville. That was its original name. And I always get it mixed up, which is the last one there. I should know because at one time I knew quite a bit about that area. The whatever the last station is, the one that looks like a house. Wow, man, I should know this. You guys will correct me in the comments, I'm sure. Bechtelsville or Bartow. Whatever the last, I think it's Bartow, the Bartow station. The last station is still there. I guess it's the house again. Well, the line ended just past there. But if you go a certain way, you can actually see where the line was graded. So I don't know if there's any area graded from the perk to connect, but there was already some grading work getting done past Bartow and Bechtelsville to connect. You can see where they made the right of way. Never laid track or nothing, but where the Colebrookdale line ended, there used to be an engine house and a Y there too. Also, there was a branch that went to a quarry, which you can still see some of the right of way and the little quarry area, and it's really neat back there. Someday I'll do. You can see part of the abutment from the siding that came off the Y that went into the quarry down there at Bartow or Bechtelsville that went over that way, and it's really neat. I'm going to do a video of that someday. But anyway, so this is something else that's interesting. I think it's really neat, and you can see how obviously not near each other, but you can see how they both hooked up to the Philadelphia and Reading main line. So there's the old Perkiomen Railroad. So 1873, the line was technically finished in 1874, but they didn't run a through train all the way through until 1875, because in 1875 the Dillinger Tunnel was completed. The tunnel wasn't finished. The line on both ends were finished as of 1874. They were already finished, but like I said, the tunnel wasn't finished, so they couldn't run a through train. As I say in some of my talks, that's kind of a gray area we talk about sometimes, where it's like over the years of research, the Perkiomen Railroad is a very well remembered, very loved line for over the years, excursion years. It's every time you talk to people, everybody has stories, everybody has fond memories of it one way or another. But the information to gather accurate information has really been a struggle at times. So we heard 1874, we heard 1875. Then one day, put the pieces together, they're kind of both right. So, yeah, so as of 1873, the line was still being, it was still being completed up to, the shows here in the dotted line show what would have happened. And that's just Perkiomen Railroad. It goes all the way up there. And, I never actually zoomed in on this and realized they're supposed to have come off somewhere else. I can't read that. Is that Emmaus? Looks like it would have connected to East Penn. Well, no, it did go to East Penn, but it looks like it would have went straight that way. Before the Reading took it over and later became Conrail and Norfolk Southern, etc. The one that goes through Macungie and all that. It was the East Penn Railroad, that main line, which Norfolk Southern runs today through Macungie and all that good stuff. Because there's Albertus, there's East Penn. So that's correct. That is Emmaus. Yeah, that's Emmaus. Okay, that's correct. So this would have been Hosensack. This was all being worked on still in 1873, like I said. And it looks like it was supposed to have branched off again up here. Huh, that's something. See? You learn something new. And I have a physical copy of this map framed. And I've stared and glanced at it so many times, but it's kind of hard to read unless you're doing this. Then you can read it better. But when you're just looking at it like in a frame. So, as they say, to be continued. That is something new, because there's Emmaus, and I went to the junction at the Harris Street in Emmaus. That looks accurate. It hooked up to the East Penn, and then the East Penn, like I said, got taken over eventually by the Reading. And then Conrail, Norfolk Southern has it. Then you come down, and there's Hosensack, and like we know. But this little section on the right, that little spot, that has me wondering now. Anyway, so that's something else to look at for next time. So, I'd like to thank you guys for, especially if you're, I want to thank anybody if you're watching this or you've been here. I want to thank everybody for being here. I appreciate it. I want to get this channel going. I want to get it over 1,000 subscribers. Maybe get monetized, make a little side income. That'd be fun. And the channel's going to be not just Perk Railroad. It's going to be a lot of railroad, anything railroad related, historical railroad places, abandoned places, bridges, tunnels, stations, equipment. I got a lot of different locomotives, and I got some Reading Rambles up at Kempton. All the Reading coaches Kempton has, they're all Reading Rambles veterans from the Rambles. I'm going to take different trips. I have a lot of stuff planned for, not just for stations and not just for Perkiomen Railroad. It's going to be a lot of Perkiomen because that's my thing. But it's going to be a lot of different, anything railroad oriented, forgotten places, abandoned places, neat finds, etc., etc. And anything else too. I'm going to do something based, believe it or not, there's going to be something based around the Titanic. Yes, believe it or not, a local tie to the Titanic. Drive-in movie theaters. I love old abandoned places. Anything old abandoned, like I said, not just railroad, but any type of historic, forgotten, abandoned, neat type of thing. That's what I want to base the channel around. I also want to do one of my other loves. Let me just close this here. One of my other loves, real quick, which has been since childhood, is model trains. I love American Flyer. This is a 1956. I started doing some model train videos on here a while back, about a year ago, and they got like no views and like no interest. So if you guys want to see, I mean, I do post model trains in action on my YouTube shorts, but I haven't really done any type of anything else based around model trains. If you want to see model train stuff, I'd like to do that too. This is my little workbench, like I said. This is all my American Flyer stuff, and I do live steam. I can put more live steam stuff. There's my blueprints to my Baldwin. There's my number 7 GE Critter. So anyway, so speaking of model trains, I got my mug here. A little shout out to Ron. If you ever watched this, Ron, it's a shout out to you. Classic Model Trains. If you love watching, Ron's a great guy. Very entertaining. Very well done. He does train rebuilds, restorations, and stuff. So he's more entertaining than I am, but who isn't? So if you want to, if you're into model trains, you want to watch some very entertaining, very good YouTube videos on classic model trains, check Ron out. I got a cool mug from him. I'm a 33 percenter. It's got my banner, my town. I'm one of the original 5. So 33 percenter, some of you guys might be that too. There's a statistic that only 33% of people watch the entire YouTube videos. So there are 33 percenters. It says only 33% apparently stay through to the end. I've been a little long-winded, and this is up to 22 minutes, almost 23 minutes now, so there might be 10% watching this, but 33 percenters. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. That's what I'm up to. Stay tuned. I'm going to do some more stuff, more research about the why, and we're going to figure this out. So thanks again for being here, and I'll see you later.